Arizona Cardinals and the Las Vegas Raiders. This one's fairly interesting. This had gotten as high as 6 in favor of the Raiders. We started to see buyback and get to 5.5. Now we're to 5. Now, again, these are not significant numbers and key numbers, but it does just mean money was coming back in the other direction on the Cardinals to get it off of that 6, which has actually become the third most key number now with the extra point thing. So we're going 3, 7, 6, and 6 actually not trailing 7 by all that much here as of late. So does come off of that, sitting 5.5 right now in favor of the Raiders. Adam, I don't know if we saw a ton from this Raiders team last week. I mean, it was a very weird deal where Carr had 3 turnovers where he usually protects the ball pretty well. So it's kind of like an aberration as opposed to the norm situation. And then the Cardinals just, again, they're absolutely horrible right now with all their injuries, with the suspension of DeAndre Hopkins. Like, I don't know really what to do with this one. So it's a sit back and watch for me. I just can't find a way to get there on either side.
I'll take Arizona in the points, and I think you have a clearly better quarterback getting points in this game. Kyler Murray doesn't have a lot of weapons, and we just heard this morning for certain that Rondale Moore is going to be out for this game. So obviously he's way down on weapons, but you know what else is down? The Raiders defense. Last week, we heard that this defense was going to get by on its pass rush, right? Chandler Jones and Max Crosby did not get home. They didn't even get pressures. Like, Max Crosby was okay. Chandler Jones was not. And so if they can't get to Kyler Murray and Kyler Murray has time to make things happen, I have grave concerns for this Raiders defense. Now, on the other side of the ball, you mentioned Derek Carr taking care of the ball fairly well. I would go back to what Joey Bosa said last year after the Chargers played the Raiders, where he said, we knew that if we could hit him a couple of times, he would start to rattle. So I would suggest that if you're thinking about playing the Raiders, go read some of the comments from offensive coordinator Mick Lombardi. They were asking him, the beat writers this week, what do you think about how Derek Carr played, how the offensive line played? And I think Mick Lombardi gave you a little bit of information that you need. He used the word footwork more than once with Derek Carr. Once he starts to feel pressure, he doesn't step into throws. And one of those interceptions was a flat-footed interception that he just stood there and threw right into the hands of the Chargers defense. So I overall feel a lot more confident in Arizona bouncing back here than I do in the Las Vegas Raiders' ability to, keep any sort of momentum that they had last week going.
And listen, I think those are very good points you brought up about Carr and pressure, because here's the thing. The Cardinals blitzed Mahomes last week, 51% of his dropbacks, right? But the problem is Mahomes eats up the blitz. Like, he loves whenever you blitz him. And so it worked to their detriment vastly, right? But Steven, if they employ that same defensive strategy this week against Derek Carr, things would get a little bit more interesting, because Carr is certainly not the guy against the blitz that Mahomes is. And so maybe we see all of those Cardinals blitzes actually come to fruition as opposed to being a big detriment to the team.
Adam's not alone. If you go listen to the Gridiron Gamble podcast on our YouTube channel, then you'll also hear Mo Nawara and Brett Colson also like Arizona to cover this week. So I'll let you guys listen to them. I don't have a big lean here. It's my final prop of the year, so I suck at props. So if you want to fade it, please, by all means, go ahead. Devontae Adams over 7.5 receptions, 17 targets last week, hyper targeted. Could be a high-scoring game here, and a little narrative street for you. His grandparents have never seen him play a game in person in his life. This week will be the first time. So Devontae is going to go out there and do it for grandmom and pop-pop.
Right, Adam? That's a good one,
man. I suck at props. No. This is what I'm down to. I suck so bad at props. I'm going with the pop narrative.
Hey, I played the Adams over 6.5 last week, and I think if you want to charge this one to Peepaw and Meemaw, you go right ahead and do it, because Devontae Adams will see the football. To put a cap on this thing, guys, the preseason look, the Superbook numbers from May had the Raiders laying 2. If you can make me a case for why the Raiders would add 3.5 to 4 points, go right ahead.